Hello boys and girls, welcome back to another wonderful video from your boy King Jiffy Coats, and today we're going to be going off the beaten path again to kind of look into the crimes of a game developer. Now I know the last couple of weeks I've been doing a lot of these true crime type things, and I will get back to the game reviews, but when I was doing all the research for these past two videos, I had kind of a throwaway that I wanted to do, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it. So today we're going to go full in, balls to the wall, on one Kenneth McCullik. Mccolik worked with Silicon Knights as early as 1992, even prior to its official incorporation, and has been credited with almost all of the games the company had led in development. For the studio's second title in 1993's Fantasy Empires, he wrote the manual and acted as a supporting artist, and the voice of the Dragon Master character. He fulfilled similar roles on Dark Legions, working on art and animations and character voiceover and writing. For Blood Omen Legacy of Kain, Mccolik acted as the lead artist and lead designer and was credited with creating the game's original cinematic and in-game dialogue scripts, and co-credited with Dennis Dyack for storyline and mythology work. During the project, Mccolik fought for the marketing censor, which urged him towards choosing more accessible and less flavorful names. For characters, he conceived the names for the characters like Hashagakadak, which was a god worshipped by the humans by the Hashagaka cult in the events of Blood Omen and possibly previous ages of Nosgoth, and Mort Anus, the Necromancer, a principal character in Blood Omen and Legacy of Kain, a member of the Circle of Nine and guardian of the Pillar of Death. Mort Anus was responsible for resurrecting Kain as a vampire and served as an enigmatic benefactor throughout his quest to restore Nosgoth. Eventually, it transpired that Mort Anus' body was a vessel to the malevolent dark entity he had assassinated and resurrected Kain in an attempt to correct the imbalance caused by the murder of Ariel and the corruption of the pillars. Mort Anus was the final guard to perish in Kain's way. As you can tell by my brief history lessons, Mccullin's fight won out because these characters did end up in the final game. Through revisions were made to several of the other in the course of the development, Dyack publicly applauded Mccullik's script writing as a great job. As a result of the legal acrimony between Silicon Knights and Crystal Dynamics, Mccolik and Silicon Knights did not work any further in Legacy of Kain titles. Mccolik has since been credited as art direction and content supervisor to Eternal Darkness Sanctity of Requiem, for he shared a nomination with Dyack for the 3rd annual Game Developers Choice Awards. Writing accolade as a background artist in the Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, he also performed extensive work on 2 Human, acting as one of the game's 6 directors. Mccolik did get one more credit after this with X-Men Destiny in 2011. He did get a special thanks, but in all of this is what we have for this creator. And you might be wondering, with somebody as prolific in writing and art design as this, why aren't they still in the mainstream of video games? Why aren't you hearing about AAA bangers coming from Ken McCullik? Well, that's because this former Silicon Knights director and precursor games founder loved himself some cheese pizza. Now, I gotta be real with you guys. I'm the joke guy. When I cover this stuff, you can't expect me to read it off 100% dry. And this is the type of guy that should be buried under a jail. Should be get his old Willy Tilly slapped off with a meat cleaver. That's how I feel about guys like this. But around 2012, he was convicted for CP charges and was sentenced in Ontario Court of Justice. According to a report published by the Wellington Tribune, Judge Joseph Nadell sentenced Mccolik to time served, 12 months. Are you kidding me? Why is it that whenever I cover one of these cases, they get like a good flick on the end of the penis, and then they're back into the real world when they should be lopping those penises off? I really don't get it. If somebody has any understanding that they could give me down in the comments that make this stuff make sense, it would be super helpful, because it doesn't make any sense to me. But after the game developer pled guilty to a charge of making CP more available, so not only was he viewing this stuff, no, this guy had to hit up all of his buddies, all of his goonbag losers, and say, hey, I got that stuff. He's standing on the edge of like taquito restaurants. They like, hey buddy, I got that cheese pizza for you, when somebody should have drive-by shot his ass. Now this jabroni couldn't even keep his nose clean while in jail. He was hit with other charges including SA, forcible confinement, and SI, which is interference, and he ended up also getting hit with the fact that he had videos of images of prepubescent boys engaged in sexual activity with adult women on his computer. His name will be on the SASO whatever registry list for the next 20 years. Again, he should have just had his penis lopped off. It's so ridiculous, and he's barred from having contact with anybody under 16 years of old. He should be having being barred from talking to anyone. Honestly, he should only be able to talk to ants or whatever worms are crawling above him. But Mccolik, 43, of St. Charles-Dean, Ontario, was arrested and charged with 1 count of each possession of CP, making the whole cheese pizza thing available and accessible for other people. And at the time, he was employed at Precursor Games, serving as lore keeper, world builder, and dream merchant. God, make me want to throw up more. What kind of guy? He's the merchant of dreams when his only dream is ruining children's lives, and I want his life ruined. Now, I'm not saying that go find him, hunt him down. Of course, I'm not saying that. I don't think vigilanteism's that great. I just think that our legal system needs to take a firmer and harder stances against goonbags like this. I think it's absolutely disgusting and abhorrent that this type of guy only got a year in jail, and oh, well, he has to be on the offender list for 20 years. Give me a break, brother. Like, this is ridiculous. And this also doesn't mean that I say that you can't ever play Legacy of Kain, or that if you touch any of those games, you were touching the work that has been absolutely affected by somebody who did these abhorrent charges. I feel like it is important to look at art away from the artist, and that doesn't mean that your favorite games are now smeared for the end of time. I mean, there's a million Kevin Spacey movies that I love, and even though Kevin Spacey deserves to probably get hit by a bus, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to stop watching the movie The Negotiator. Samuel L. Jackson gave a hell of a performance in that film, but come on, dude. I mean, the fact that this absolutely demolished the studio that he worked for. I mean, you look at, like, after his arrest broke, Precursor Games distanced itself from the accused developer, having just learned of these disturbing charges today, and based on the serious nature of them, Ken McCullik is no longer affiliated in any way with Precursor Games, the studio CEO Paul Kaprocki said. And Precursor Games tried unsuccessfully to crowdfund their game Shadow of the Eternals. It was a spiritual successor of the GameCube game Eternal Darkness, Sanctity's Requiem, in 2013, and it just kind of got put on hold, and it really never did anything after that. And that's kind of the thing that sucks about these cases, because I know that there were really good developers who were probably working at that studio who didn't like cheese pizza, just wanted to make their cool games, craft their cool stories, make their cool 3D models. There was probably some guy in the mailroom who was like, fuck, I just lost my job because of one goon bag here that ruined it for all of us. And this is one of those things that really kind of hits and sucks when you find stories like this on the internet. It really puts you a damper on what could be like a cool story, you know? Oh, look at what Mccolik ended up being. He created all these great games, and look where Legacy of Kain ended up. We'd probably still have Legacy of Kain games maybe to this day. Well, probably not. Silicon Knights can't ever get with the program. They're always seeming to jump the shark in some sort of way. But at the same time, it sucks that somebody that made such great stuff was also a degenerate of this caliber. You never know where you're going to run into one of these people, and I'm not saying that to make you paranoid, because for the most part, most people out there are good, but every once in a while you run into a goon bag. This kind of reminds me of the Ronishi Kenshin artist and writer. I hear Ronishi Kenshin is one of the greatest animes and manga of all time. It just sucks that its lead creator ended up being a cheese pizza enjoyer of himself. But that's all I really got for this one, guys. I know this is kind of a darker video, a little less lighthearted than I usually do on the channel, a lot less cum jokes and whatever, but I feel like I was on a little bit of a trend there where I wanted to cover a few of the stories. This one had stumbled across my lap, and I said, I want to cover this one. I just didn't know how to fit it into the last video, and on top of that, I felt it almost deserved a video of its own. And make sure to leave a like and a subscribe, because this stuff wears on me. It's like driving a giant spike into the middle of my heart. It really hurts me deep down that people can be this sick. But if you want to hear some like creepy stories that don't have to do with real people and really disgusting situations of reality, make sure to go check out my podcast, The Haunted Router, where we read creepcasts and just have a good time. And with that, I'm going to bid you guys adieu, and I'll catch you on the next one.